Today on Backyard Bayou, we are seconds south of the Jimmy Davis Bridge in South Bossier City, right off of the Arthur Ray Teague Parkway. We are at the Red River National Wildlife Refuge, several thousand acres of really untouched nature with a welcome center, a lake, miles and miles of trails, and we're going to take you behind the scenes at one of the special projects that they do every single summer here with their wood duck banding. So take a look at what we did early this morning. So it's about 5 o'clock right now, and it's still dark. So the prep work that we're laying down in place right now is behind me is one of the coolest things that they've told me about. It's a rocket-propelled net, and it's powered by a series of Class 3 explosives. So we've had to turn our cell phones off. We're having to be really, really careful with our camera equipment to keep it away because static can set these things off. So she's going to set these charges inside the rocket net, and a little bit later, whenever the ducks land in this area that's been baited for them, we're going to blow the charges and hopefully capture some ducks for you guys. It's about 6 o'clock now. After a couple hours of waiting and a few thousand mosquito bites, we should have some ducks soon. This bait has been here for several weeks to attract the ducks to come into this area. We're going to try and condition them to be okay with all of this kind of foreign object around them, especially the rockets that are sitting on the T-posts here. And we've got a rocket here that we can show you. This is the rocket that propels the net over the ducks. So the charges are inside here, and it actually shoots out of the sheath here. Now this thing's kind of heavy. This thing weighs about 10 to 15 pounds. You can see on the back side where the gases escape to propel this thing over, and it's quite a spectacle to see that go through. So if you're wondering how the ducks didn't see us and where we actually set the charge off from, this is the duck blind that we got to spend a copious amount of time in this morning. And it's a dual-purpose duck blind. It also served as a mosquito buffet because someone was not wise enough to bring bug spray this morning. That's me. We're here with Gypsy Hanks. She is a wildlife biologist with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So what's the point of catching them? Why are we ruining these ducks' mornings just for a little while?
We're catching them to put these bands on them. Each band has a unique number, and this is a traditional mark recapture study. So when these bands are returned, usually by hunter harvest, then we will know how long this bird lived, maybe where it went, its survival rate, so we can take all that data and get survival rates, mortality rates, longevity, migration paths. And this is particularly helpful for us with game birds, in this particular case, ducks, so that we can set harvest regulations. So we know that we're not adding to the mortality of the population, but we are able to set the bag limits and make sure that the populations are in good health.
This is a critical step in the conservation for the wood duck population.
Yes, it is. We do this with all duck species, but particularly it's important with wood ducks because they're difficult to survey using traditional survey methods, which is usually flying aerial surveys over prairies in southern Canada, northern Midwest. And wood ducks, since they breed in the woods, we can't count them as easily from the air. So this really helps us estimate their population size.
So if you're hunting and you harvest a duck with a band, what do you do?
There's 2 different bands out there. They're going to start going to just the one that has the website address, but they have a 1-800 number on the band and a website address. And you either call or go on the internet and you will say where you killed the bird, what day it was, and they will send you a banding certificate telling you when it was banded, where it was banded, and you get to keep the band as a trophy, which duck hunters love to keep these. So
you'll get to see
It's
how far
it's
the
an
duck has come to
uncommon-
you, right?
Yeah, it's an uncommon thing to harvest a banded duck, and so it's a desirable thing for them.
So we're gonna let this guy get back after this very surprising breakfast that he got to have with all the pomp and circumstance of some post 4th of July rockets. So off you go. So you can see behind me we've had some help with today's projects, and that's through a different variety of programs through the Youth Conservation Corps, which are the high school students behind me in the gray shirts, as well as some college interns. Now, the Youth Conservation Corps was founded in the 1970s, and it provides hands-on conservation work experience, paying jobs for kids in high school throughout the summer at U.S. National Wildlife Refuges, at national parks, at fish hatcheries, to really get them hands-on into conservation projects to possibly provide them with a really fulfilling career. I'm joined with Terry Jacobson from the Refuge. Terry, tell me a little about what you do here.
I'm a refuge ranger, and I'm in charge of visitor services, environmental education, and keeping our visitors safe here on the wildlife refuge.
So tell me about this body of water that's on the refuge. It looks like it could be part of the Red River, may have been. Enlighten me.
This is Lake Caroline, and Lake Caroline is an oxbow lake. It used to be connected to Red River. In the 1940s, there was a big flood event, and the river changed its course and left behind this body of water, Lake Caroline. During high flood events, it will connect back to the river, and in fact, the water was all the way up here during the last flood events. So Lake Caroline is a reservoir of holding back water, flood water, so it doesn't impact residents that are further in the community. It also provides lots of wildlife habitat. You have all the fish that you might find in the river. You have lots of birds. We got a great egret out there, a big white wading bird, which come here to eat the fish and the frogs and the snakes. There's turtles, of course, lots of dragonflies and aquatic insects, and it's just a nice place to come and enjoy nature.
So with the refuge, you really have to have almost a small army to keep this whole place up and running, and I hear you guys have volunteers that help you with that as well.
Yes, we have a small staff. We only have like 4 permanent staff members that work on our complex. And we like to have volunteers. We need volunteers. We couldn't get our work done without volunteers.
So how do you sign up?
So one way you can sign up is when you visit the visitor center. We have a form you can fill out, a volunteer interest form. Another way is get your name on our email list, and we'll send out notices when we need volunteers for a special project. And then, of course, once we get your phone number or email, we'll contact you and let you know about volunteer opportunities.
Let's go get me signed up.
Okay.
All right. So thanks for joining us for our inside look today into the Red River National Wildlife Refuge, just steps away from Arthur Ray Teague in South Bossier City. Over 1,300 acres from the first land purchase in 2002, planning to expand to 50,000 acres along 120 miles of Red River shoreline to protect this natural resource in northwest Louisiana. So come out, volunteer, enjoy the miles of trails you can hike, bike, even take your dog on a leash. It's an incredible place tucked right here in your backyard.